So, you want a gaming mouse that looks good as a glorious one, but your moneyback says otherwise. What if I say you can get a glorious wannabe at $10 in a good way? Introducing to you Dareu EM907. So hey there everyone, this is me Narsanabil and welcome to the review of Dareu EM907. For those who don't know Dareu as a brand or can't really trust them, I can assure you they are pretty good and reputed brand in the Asian side at least, and increasingly getting popular on the Western side. They have been making gaming tab peripherals for quite a long time with premium mechanical keyboards and some mices. And among those gaming tech mices, there is our EM907, a pretty basic mouse for a $10 range. And let's start talking about it, how it performs. And we start with the outward feature set and appearance of the mouse. It's a honeycomb shell design with an ergonomic shape. Here you can see the sides. Here, let me show you. Here's the grip. It's comfortable quite a bit. You can go with palm grip, fingertip grip, or a claw grip. I mostly use in the palm grip or fingertip grip side. Well, the ergonomic shape might be familiar with you if you have been in the mouse scene for quite a long time or have known premium mice. If you see in the side and the overall structure, it does look quite a bit of glorious mice, doesn't it? Well, for me it does. I'm not gonna say it's a knockoff. It took inspiration from the glorious and retained its quality for the $10 range. That's all. Nothing much too sketchy about it. And that's not an understatement. The shape feels, as I said, pretty comfortable in my hand, and the weight is 60 grams according to the Dareu's official website and the several shops that sell this. The shell is made of cheap plastic with a textured grippy surface, so it doesn't really slip on your hand on your hand. After long session of use, there can be smudges on the mouse from your oil, from the finger oils. Here you can see a bit of oil in the mouse. The dimension is 39 millimeter on the height, 125.5 on the length, and 64.6 millimeter on the breadth or the thickness. So enough with the outer appearance. Let's start with the switches and the internal components. For a mouse, what do we have in the internals? Switches and sensors, and nothing that much. There can be RGBs, and that's all. So first about the switches, then the sensors. The switches that are used in this mouse are the Omron 20 million switches, which is quite common for this price range. Nothing much fancy like the Kyle or TTC Gold switches. The clicks are pretty responsive and light. Here you can see, are pretty comfortable. And another plus point is the side buttons. It isn't mushy like the cheap budget mices, which doesn't give the satisfying click of in the sides. Both the switches have enough tactileness to it. The tactileness are just decent, and the clickiness is right to the point. But my complaint is about the scroll wheel. The scroll wheel is a bit dull to use, I might say, and the scroll wheel doesn't have the tactile click to it while clicking it, obviously. And a common issue about the cheap mice is the double click issue, which happens quite frequently in the cheap switches, and that solely depends on your environment which you keep your peripherals in. If you're in a dusty environment, the double click situation is inevitable because the dust always gets in the switches and does the double click issue. So if you have an air conditioned closed room, the double click will appear on the later side, but that doesn't mean that it won't appear. It will appear, like it's gonna take quite a long time, but the switch is nothing like the optical switches that the Razer Viper Mini at the $20 range provides. It's just perfect for this price. And then the sensor that this mice uses is the SPCP190 sensor, which is a pretty average sensor, which is used in all the mice in this lower budget range. But from my experience using the Fantech Thor, Corsair Qatar Pro, and mice like that, this felt a bit more responsive and reliable. Like Qatar, the sensor doesn't act weird in the mouse, but it does have LOD issue, or the lift of distance. Like if you go for the low sense player, if you go above about 2 inches height while playing competitive games, the sensor will stop tracking for quite a bit, for quite some milliseconds before remapping it to the mouse pad, and this might give you some trouble in the while playing FPS type games. You'll feel that. From my experience, I did face issue or two, for that reason. And another negative factor is the 125 Hz polling rate. It's not like you're gonna notice it right out of the bat. If you haven't played extreme competitive FPS titles, like playing in the higher ranks, it's usable, but I won't recommend this to a extreme competitive player, but who's gonna buy a $10 mouse for like a diamond rank in Valorant. And speaking of the sensor, it has four stages of DPI to up to 6400 Hz, but the mouse overall doesn't have any software support, so you can customize the DPI, and it does not have any onboard memory, so you can freely change the software. You can change any DPI on the software or any RGB. So there's that. And lastly, the skates. It's a pretty average PFA skates with workable glide. Not anything too extravagant. In regular use, and if you have a decent mouse pad, like I'm using the EasyPad control pad here, the review is on the horizon. you won't feel that much of a difference if you're using any good mousepad. And lastly, the RGB, as I said before, as it doesn't have any software support, you can't really change the RGB. It's just an rainbow effect, a cycling rainbow effect, and nothing much. And lastly, the cable. The cable is a simple plastic generic cable. It can get bent any way you like it. And the cable is about 5 meter in length. It's about 5 meter in length, probably. I haven't measured that much. Probably 5 meter in length, so you won't have any problem connecting it to the back of your PC and then having difficult to place it on your desk. So, final verdict about the mouse. Speaking out so many cons about the mouse, you might be thinking if the downsides overtook the positive aspects of the mouse. Though it seems like I spoke a lot about its flaws, it's a great mouse nonetheless. You won't find any mouse that has such feature set in the $10 range. Feature set, I mean the overall performance of the mouse and the reliability of the Dareu brand, that it doesn't gonna perform weirdly down the line. And that's all about it. So if you're a low budget gamer and have $10 lying around and want to try something new, just give it a try. You won't be disappointed. So that's all about Dareu EM907. Hope you guys liked it, and if you have any suggestion, feel free to comment, or if I have any flaws, do let me know. And peace.